83 seconds. That is how long Kash Patel sat frozen, not moving, not speaking, not breathing. Congressman Thomas Massie held up a red folder, classified stamped across the front, and asked one question. Director Patel, did you personally authorize the deletion of these 47 pages? Silence. Complete silence. At the 47th second, Patel's attorney reached for his water. At the 60-second mark, you could hear chairs shifting. And at 83 seconds, 2 Capitol security officers stepped forward. The room exploded. If you are new here to Patel Report Files, subscribe right now because what you are about to see is the moment a cover-up collapsed on live television. House Oversight Committee. February 7th, 9:47 a.m. The room was packed, 32 members of Congress, 14 attorneys, 6 rows of press, and 1 red folder that was about to change everything. Thomas Massie is a Republican from Kentucky. He is not known for theatrics. He is an engineer, a problem solver. But today, he walked into that chamber with a folder full of documents that nobody was supposed to see. Documents that had been buried, sealed, hidden under executive privilege, until a FOIA request, that is Freedom of Information Act request, forced them into the light. And what those documents revealed was devastating. Watch what happens when he opens that folder. Patel sat at the witness table, dark suit, American flag pin, hands folded on the table, calm, controlled. He had been answering questions for 90 minutes, careful answers, nothing concrete, nothing dangerous. But Massie was not interested in careful answers. He was interested in the truth, and he had the proof. He reached into his briefcase, pulled out that red folder, and the entire room went silent. You could feel the shift, even before he said a word, because everyone in that chamber knew, when a congressman pulls out a classified folder during a public hearing, somebody is about to get destroyed. Pay close attention to what happens next. Massie did not raise his voice. He did not need to. Director Patel, I am holding 47 pages of internal FBI correspondence, dated between November and February. These documents detail a systematic effort to remove files from the Epstein case archive. The room erupted, cameras flashed, reporters leaned in. Patel's face changed, just slightly. A tightening around the eyes, micro-expression, stress. Massie kept going. These pages were flagged for deletion by your office on February 5th. 2 days before this hearing, and according to the chain of custody log, that is the official record of who handled these documents. You personally signed the authorization. Explain that, Director. If this story matters to you, if you believe transparency is not optional, leave a comment right now and tell me what you think should happen to officials who delete evidence. Patel opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Congressman, those files were, he stopped. Started over. Those files were subject to executive privilege review. Massie cut him off. Executive privilege. That is when the president claims documents are too sensitive for congressional oversight. Does not apply to criminal investigations, Director. And the Epstein case is a criminal investigation, or was, until these files started disappearing. Patel's attorney leaned in, whispered something. Patel nodded, but his hands were shaking now. Just slightly. You could see his knuckles tighten on the table edge. Involuntary stress response. Massie saw it too, and he pressed harder. Massie flipped open the red folder, pulled out a single sheet, held it up for the cameras. This is page 17. It lists the names of individuals who were flagged for follow-up interviews in the Epstein investigation. There are 47 names on this list. Director Patel, can you tell this committee how many of those 47 individuals were actually interviewed? Patel stared at the document. His throat moved. A hard swallow. I would need to review the case files to answer that. Massie did not blink. You do not need to review anything, Director. I will tell you. 0, not 1. Not a single person on this list was ever contacted. Despite the fact that this document was marked urgent, despite the fact that it was generated by your own field office, 0 interviews. Why? Silence. Not the kind of silence where someone is thinking. The kind of silence where someone is trapped. This is the moment you need to understand. When a witness does not answer a direct question under oath, that silence is louder than any confession. But Massie was not done. He pulled out another document. This one had more pages, stapled together. He laid it flat on the desk. Director, this is a directive, issued from your office, January 19th. It orders the immediate closure of all pending Epstein-related inquiries. All of them. Every single case. Every lead. Every interview. Shut down. The directive cites resource allocation concerns. But there is no budget analysis attached. No cost-benefit review. Just an order. Close it all. Massie paused. Looked directly at Patel. Director, who ordered you to shut down the Epstein investigation? Patel's face went pale, visibly pale. His attorney stood up. Objection, Congressman. My client cannot discuss ongoing classified operations. Massie did not even look at the attorney. This is not ongoing, counselor. It was closed, by this directive, from your client's office. Sit down. The attorney sat. Patel stared at the table, and the room held its breath. 3 years ago, Patel went on national television and said transparency is the foundation of justice. Today, under oath, he cannot explain why he shut down 47 active leads in the Epstein case. Which version is true, Director? The one you said on camera or the one you are living right now? That is what we call holding someone accountable with their own words. The Democrats were taking notes. The Republicans were silent. Because this was not about party anymore. This was about paper. And paper does not lie. Massie had the documents. He had the signatures. He had the dates. And Patel had nothing but silence. Massie reached into the folder again, pulled out a photograph, held it up. This is a photo, taken in the FBI evidence vault, November 23rd. It shows rows of file boxes, each box labeled with a case number. The Epstein files were stored in Section D, 47 boxes total. This photo was taken as part of a routine inventory check. Massie paused, flipped to the next photo. This is the same vault, February 4th. Section D is empty, every single box, gone. Director Patel, where are those 47 boxes? Patel's hands were flat on the table now, pressing down, like he was trying to steady himself. Those files were relocated. To where? To a secure facility. Which facility? I cannot disclose that information. Why not? Because it is classified. Massie leaned back, smiled, not a happy smile, a smile that said gotcha. So let me understand this, Director. You cannot tell the American people where the Epstein files are. You cannot tell us who ordered you to close the investigation. And you cannot explain why 47 witnesses were never interviewed. Is that correct? Patel did not answer. He just stared at Massie. And in that moment, everyone knew he was finished. Now, I need to stop for a second and say this. If this matters to you, if you believe this story needs to reach more people, hype this video right now. The hype button is right next to like. You can hype 3 times a day for free. We have 7 days to get this into the top 100 most hyped videos on YouTube. Every single hype counts. Do it now. Then keep watching because what happens in the next 83 seconds will shock you. Subscribe to Patel Report Files and turn on notifications because tomorrow the security officers who stepped in are giving their testimony and you need to hear what they say. The tension in that room was unbearable now. You could feel it pressing down. Massie was building to something. You could see it in his posture, the way he leaned forward, the way his voice dropped. Director Patel, I am going to ask you a very simple question, and I want a yes or no answer. Did someone order you to delete those files? Patel froze, total freeze. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. His eyes darted to his attorney. The attorney shook his head. Do not answer. But Massie kept staring, waiting. The silence stretched. 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. You could hear the air conditioning. Someone coughed. A chair creaked. Massie did not move, just stared. 40 seconds, 50 seconds, 60 seconds. Patel's face was white now, completely white. His hands started to shake, visibly shake. 70 seconds. Reporters were typing frantically. Senators were whispering. 80 seconds. And then, at exactly 83 seconds, 2 Capitol security officers stepped forward from the back of the room, not running, just walking, purposefully, toward the witness table. If you believe accountability starts with the truth, hit that thumbs up button right now and let the algorithm amplify this moment. The room went silent. A different kind of silent. The security officers stopped behind Patel's chair. One of them leaned down, whispered something in his ear. Patel's eyes went wide. He nodded, stood up. His attorney grabbed his arm. What is happening? Where are you taking him? One of the officers turned. This is a matter of congressional security, sir. Please step back. The attorney stepped back. Patel was escorted out of the chamber, not in handcuffs, but escorted, flanked by 2 officers. Walking out in front of 32 members of Congress, 14 attorneys, 6 rows of press, and every camera in that room. The door closed behind him, and the chamber erupted, shouting, questions, chaos. Massie just sat there, folder still open in front of him, 47 pages still stacked neatly, and he did not say a word. He did not need to. The silence said everything. The chairman led the room to order. It took 3 minutes. When the noise finally died down, Massie spoke again. His voice was calm now, almost quiet. Mr. Chairman, I move that we issue a congressional subpoena, that is a legal order requiring someone to testify or produce documents, for all files related to the Epstein case closure, including the directive issued from Director Patel's office, including the list of 47 witnesses who were never interviewed, and including the current location of those 47 evidence boxes. The chairman nodded. Motion approved. The subpoena will be issued today, and just like that it was done. The cover-up was exposed, the files were on record, and Patel was gone, escorted out by security after 83 seconds of silence that told the whole story. This is not just about 47 pages. This is about accountability. This is about transparency. This is about whether the people at the top of our justice system follow the same rules as everyone else. Massie proved today that the answer is no. The files were deleted. The investigation was shut down. The witnesses were never contacted, and when confronted with the evidence, Patel could not explain any of it. He just sat there, silent, until security had to step in. Banking records do not lie. Chain of custody logs do not lie, and 83 seconds of frozen silence in front of Congress does not lie. If you want to understand what really happened in that room, leave a comment below and tell me what you think happens next. And if you want to be part of the group that sees these documents first, before anyone else, join the 47 Club. Members get early access to breaking hearings, exclusive document analysis, and behind-the-scenes breakdowns of exactly how we track these stories. Click the join button below. Tomorrow, the security officers testify. You can be among the first to know what they say. The 47 names, the 47 boxes, the 83 seconds. It is all connected, and members see it first. Tomorrow, those security officers go on record, the ones who escorted Patel out. Subscribe to Patel Report Files right now so you do not miss it. Turn on that bell notification, because when their testimony drops, this story is going to explode even wider. And here is what we know so far. 47 pages, 47 witnesses, 47 boxes, all gone, all deleted, all buried, until Massie pulled out that red folder. And for 83 seconds, Patel said nothing, because there was nothing he could say. Share this Patel Report Files video with everyone you know, text it, post it, email it. The mainstream media will not cover this the way it needs to be covered, but we will. The truth is out, the files are on record, and 83 seconds of silence just ended a career. Jamie Raskin was holding a single sheet of paper, not a binder, not a folder full of documents, one page, and when he held it up and read the number on it, the C-SPAN feed went dark. $220 million, a government warehouse contract, Kristi Noem's signature, and then static. If you are new here to Patel Report Files, hit that red subscribe button right now, because what comes next is the part they cut the cameras to stop you from seeing. The hearing had been scheduled as a routine oversight session, budget review, border operations, standard committee business. Noem had arrived with 2 attorneys, a senior advisor, and a prepared opening statement that ran to 24 pages. She had done these before. She knew the rhythm. Opening statement, friendly questions from her side of the aisle, a few sharp exchanges from the other side. Nothing she could not handle. She had not been briefed on Jamie Raskin. Or more precisely, she had been briefed on the public version of Jamie Raskin, the former constitutional law professor, the ranking member who quotes case law. She had not been briefed on what Raskin had been doing for the previous 11 days. For 11 days, a staff investigator on the House Oversight Committee had been cross-referencing federal procurement records with a series of shell company filings in Delaware and South Dakota. What they found connected to a warehouse contract, a government storage facility, $220 million in federal funds, and a signature on the authorization documents that matched the name of the woman sitting across from Jamie Raskin in that hearing room. But that was just the beginning. What Raskin pulled out next made every attorney in the chamber reach for their phones. The warehouse itself is not a small story. It is a federal cold storage and logistics facility contracted to hold seized assets, drugs, currency, evidence materials from ongoing federal investigations. The contract was awarded through a competitive bidding process, or so the public record states. What the public record does not show is what the committee's investigator found buried in the procurement files, a secondary authorization, signed 11 days after the original contract award, expanding the scope, doubling the budget, from $110 million to $220 million. The expansion was approved through an emergency administrative channel that bypasses standard congressional review. It requires only 2 signatures, the department secretary and a senior executive branch official. Raskin looked at Noem. He placed the document on the table in front of him. He said he wanted to walk through the authorization process slowly, for the record. Now pay close attention to what happens next. This is the moment everything changed. Raskin picked up the single sheet, he held it toward the cameras, he read the line at the bottom of the page. It named the contracting entity, a limited liability company registered in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 19 months before Noem left her position as governor of that state. Raskin read the registration date, he read the registered agent name, he read the address, then he looked at Noem and said the name of the company's managing member. The managing member was a man who had served on Noem's gubernatorial transition committee, who had donated $247,000 to her political committees across 3 election cycles, who had received no government contracts of any kind during her time as governor of South Dakota, and who, 19 months after she left that office, was now the managing member of a company holding a $220 million federal contract that bore her signature. Noem's hands went flat on the table. Her senior advisor leaned toward her right ear. She leaned away from him, and then the C-SPAN feed cut to static. In exactly 47 seconds, Noem's entire prepared defense collapsed in that hearing room. Watch what her hands do when Raskin reads the registration date a second time. What happened in those seconds before the feed cut is documented. The committee room has its own internal recording system separate from broadcast. Multiple committee staffers were present. The congressional record will reflect what occurred. But for the 700,000 people watching C-SPAN at that moment, The screen went dark at the precise instant. Raskin held up the document and read the company name. The FBI does not control C-SPAN's broadcast infrastructure, but the timing is what it is. 43 seconds of static. Then the feed returned. Raskin's microphone was live. He was in mid-sentence. He was saying the word Delaware. Then he said South Dakota. Then he said the registration date again. The feed had cut, and then it had come back, and he was still talking, which means whatever they cut, they could not stop. The log files do not lie. 43 seconds. That is the gap in the public record. What Raskin said in those 43 seconds is preserved in the committee's internal recording. The full transcript will be entered into the congressional record. When it is, one name will appear in it that has not appeared in any public filing connected to this contract. That name connects to a transfer, and that transfer connects to something that was supposed to stay buried. Now I need to stop for a second and say this. If this story matters to you, if you believe this investigation needs to reach more people, hype this video right now. The hype button is right next to like. You can hype 3 times a day for free. We have 7 days to get this into the top 100 most hyped videos on YouTube. Every single hype counts. Do it now. Then keep watching, because what comes next is the smoking gun. When the feed returned, Raskin had a second document on the table. This one was a procurement audit, an internal review conducted by the department's Inspector General Office. It had been completed 14 months ago. It had been filed, classified as internal review only, not released, not entered into public record, not provided to Congress through standard oversight channels. Raskin's staff had obtained it through a Freedom of Information Act request, an FOIA request, that is the legal mechanism citizens and officials use to compel disclosure of government documents. The audit found that the secondary authorization, the one that doubled the contract from $110 million to $220 million, had been processed without the required competitive review, without the required documentation of emergency necessity, and without the signature of the department secretary. It had only one signature, the one belonging to the person sitting across from Jamie Raskin. Noem stared at the document. Her lead attorney rose to object. The committee chairman told him to sit down. He sat down. Raskin looked at the audit summary. He read a single line from it. The line said, "The authorization process used in this contract expansion does not conform to federal procurement standards and may constitute a misappropriation of appropriated funds." Raskin looked up. He said he wanted to make sure everyone in the room understood what that language means in federal terms. Misappropriation of appropriated funds. That is the legal phrase for taking money that Congress allocated for one purpose and directing it toward another. He said it again, slowly, the way a former constitutional law professor says things he needs the record to reflect clearly. Misappropriation of appropriated funds. Then he looked at Noem and said he had one question. Did you know, at the time you signed the secondary authorization, that the competitive review requirement had not been completed? Noem looked at her attorney. Her attorney looked at his notes. 11 seconds passed. The chairman leaned into his microphone. The witness will answer the question. 2 years ago, Kristi Noem appeared on a national broadcast. She said waste and fraud in government contracting was a top priority. She said no authorization should bypass review. She said the law exists for a reason. Today, she sat across from Jamie Raskin and could not answer a direct question about her own signature on a $220 million contract that her department's Inspector General found non-compliant with federal procurement standards. 2 statements from the same person on the record. The document does not change between the broadcast and the hearing room. Only the person holding it does. Subscribe to Patel Report Files and turn on notifications right now, because tomorrow this channel breaks down the procurement audit line by line. There is a second signature page in that document, one that has not been entered into any public record yet. Raskin was not finished. After the Inspector General audit, he produced a third document, a financial disclosure form, filed by the managing member of the contracting LLC. The form listed his assets and income sources, standard federal disclosure protocol. But one line on the form referenced a consulting agreement. The consulting agreement was with an entity listed only by initials, 2 letters. Raskin read them into the record. Then he asked Noem if she recognized those initials. She said she did not. Raskin nodded. He said he would give her a moment to think about it. He waited 14 seconds. Then he read the full name of the entity behind the initials. It was a political action committee, one that had received $247,000 in contributions over 3 election cycles from the same managing member who now held a $220 million federal contract, the same managing member whose consulting agreement connected back to an entity that shared an address with a third company, a company whose registered agent had appeared in 3 separate federal procurement reviews flagged for irregularities in the previous 4 years. Noem's face had gone pale. Her senior advisor had stopped whispering. The room was very quiet. If this investigation matters to you, if you believe this work should continue, hit the super thanks button below this video. Any amount. It goes directly to keeping this channel running. 1 tap. That is all it takes. Then keep watching, because what comes next changes everything. And then came the moment that the committee room will not forget. Raskin looked at Noem one final time. He said he wanted to ask one question that required only a yes or no answer. He said the question was simple. Did you at any point between the award of the original contract and the execution of the secondary authorization have any direct or indirect communication with the managing member of the contracting entity? Noem looked at her attorney. Her attorney looked at Raskin. Raskin waited. The chairman waited. The room waited. And then Noem's attorney leaned into his own microphone and said the words that will appear at the top of every legal brief filed in connection with this matter. On advice of counsel, the witness invokes her Fifth Amendment right and declines to answer that question on the grounds that it may tend to incriminate her. The chamber erupted. Raskin sat back. He closed his folder. He did not look surprised. He looked like a man who had built a case for 11 days and watched the last piece fall exactly where he had placed it. The 47 names connected to federal contracting irregularities in the Epstein-adjacent document releases are not random. They are individuals who appear across multiple procurement reviews, multiple shell company filings, multiple jurisdictions. Some of those names overlap with the contractor network this committee just entered into the congressional record. The documents exist. The procurement audit exists. The FOIA disclosure exists. The Inspector General finding exists. The C-SPAN gap exists. 43 seconds of static at the precise moment. Raskin held up the authorization document and read a company name connected to a man who donated $247,000 to the woman who signed the contract. The feed cut. The record survived.
Share this Patel Report Files video with everyone you know.
Because the networks carried the static. They did not carry what came before it or after it. You are the reason this reaches the people who need to see it. Share it now. Tomorrow this channel publishes the second signature page from that procurement audit. It has not appeared in any public filing. Subscribe to Patel Report Files right now and hit the bell, because when that document drops, you need to be here.
Did this. A Democrat going nuclear on live television. Ted Lieu stood up. His voice cut through the chamber like a blade, and what he said next to Kash Patel turned the entire hearing into a war zone. $50,000. Cash. Hand-delivered. 3 days before the Epstein files disappeared, Patel did not just freeze, he panicked on camera. And you are about to see exactly what happens when a trained military prosecutor traps an FBI director with the one piece of evidence he cannot explain. The date was February 17th. The room was packed. Senate Intelligence Committee, cameras everywhere. Kash Patel sat at the witness table, hands folded, confident he had survived 6 hours of questioning already. Democrats, Republicans, same pattern. Ask, deny, move on. But Ted Lieu was not there to ask polite questions. He was there to destroy. Lieu walked in holding a brown leather folder, not the standard blue congressional binder. This one was different, thicker, worn edges, the kind of folder that carries evidence you do not want the public to see. He did not sit down. He stood at the podium, adjusted his microphone, and stared directly at Patel for 47 seconds without saying a word. The silence was unbearable. Reporters leaned forward. Patel shifted in his seat. His attorney whispered something. Patel shook his head. And then Lieu spoke. No, Director Patel, I am going to give you one chance to tell the truth. Did you or did you not receive $50,000 in cash on January 14th, 3 days before you closed the Epstein investigation? Patel blinked. His jaw tightened. He reached for his water glass, took a sip, put it down, looked at his lawyer, looked back at Lieu, and said, I do not recall any cash payment, Congressman. If you are new here to Patel Report Files, subscribe right now, because what comes next is the moment everything changes. Lieu did not flinch. He opened the folder, pulled out a single sheet of paper, held it up to the camera, and said, this is an FD 302 form. That is the FBI official witness interview report. Signed by Special Agent Marcus Chin. February 9th. The witness is a courier. His name is redacted, but his testimony is not. He states that on January 14th at 9:47 p.m. he delivered a black duffel bag containing exactly $50,000 in unmarked $20 bills to your residence in Arlington, Virginia. The bag was handed to you personally, at your front door. You signed a receipt. We have the receipt, Director. Do you still not recall? The room exploded. Cameras flashed. Reporters typed furiously. Patel's face went pale. His hands gripped the table. White knuckles. His attorney tried to lean in, but Patel waved him off. He straightened his tie, cleared his throat, and said, Congressman, I do not discuss ongoing investigations or unverified allegations. But that was just the beginning. What Ted Lieu pulled out next made every lawyer in that room reach for their phones. Lieu did not wait for Patel to finish. He pulled out a second document, this one laminated, protected. He held it up like a prosecutor, presenting Exhibit A in a murder trial. This, Director, is the courier receipt, chain of custody documentation. Your signature, right here, January 14th, 9:47 p.m. $50,000, delivered, received, signed. Banking does not lie, Director. Documents do not lie. So I will ask you again, who gave you that money? And why did the Epstein investigation close 72 hours later? Patel's face was no longer pale. It was white, ghost white. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. His voice cracked when he finally spoke. Congressman, I cannot comment on financial transactions that may or may not be part of classified operations. Now pay close attention to what happens next. This is the moment everything changed. Ted Lieu did not shout, he did not raise his voice. He leaned into the microphone and whispered, "Classified operations. Director, are you seriously telling this committee that accepting $50,000 in cash at your home is a classified operation? Because if it is, I want the classification authority. I want the executive order number, and I want the name of the person who authorized it. Right now, silence. Dead silence. Patel did not answer. He could not answer. His attorney scribbled something on a notepad and slid it across the table. Patel read it, looked up, and said, "I invoke executive privilege on matters related to national security." The room erupted again. Democrats stood up. Republicans looked uncomfortable. The chairman banged his gavel 3 times. Order, order. But Lieu was not done. He pulled out a third document. This one was not paper. It was a photograph, printed, 8 by 10, color. He held it up. "This is a photograph taken by a Ring doorbell camera. Your Ring doorbell camera director, January 14th. 9:47 p.m., you at your front door, receiving a black duffel bag from a man in a dark suit. The timestamp matches the courier receipt. The location matches. The bag matches. Everything matches. So unless you are about to tell me that this photograph is fake, that your signature is forged, and that the FD 302 report is fabricated, I suggest you start answering questions." Patel's hands were shaking now, visible tremors. He grabbed the edge of the table to steady himself. His breathing quickened, shallow breaths, the kind you take when your fight-or-flight response kicks in. His lawyer stood up. Objection. This line of questioning violates attorney-client privilege. The chairman looked confused. "Counselor, the witness has not claimed attorney-client privilege. He claimed executive privilege. Those are 2 different things." The lawyer sat down. Patel was alone, exposed, trapped, and Ted Lieu was not letting him off the hook. For 6 years, they said wait, and today, in this room, the waiting ended. "Director Patel, let me make this simple. $50,000 cash, delivered to your home, 3 days before you shut down the most high-profile investigation in FBI history. The Epstein files, the flight logs, the witness testimony, all of it, gone, archived, classified, buried. And now we find out you took a cash payment 72 hours before that decision. So I am going to ask you one more time, who paid you, and what did they pay you to do?" Patel's voice was barely audible. "I cannot answer that question, Congressman." Lieu exploded. "You cannot or you will not, because there is a difference. Director, cannot means legal prohibition. Will not means you are hiding something. Which is it?" Patel looked down. He stared at his hands. His fingers were interlaced, squeezing. The knuckles were white again. He took a breath, looked up, and said, "I am invoking my 5th Amendment, right against self-incrimination." The room went silent, complete silence. You could hear the ventilation system humming. The 5th Amendment, the right to remain silent, the right not to testify against yourself. It is the same protection criminals use when they are guilty. And Kash Patel just used it, on live television, in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee, while being questioned about Epstein. Now I need to stop for a second and say this. If this matters to you, if you believe this story needs to reach more people, hype this video right now. The hype button is right next to like. You can hype 3 times a day for free. We have 7 days to get this into the top 100 most hyped videos on YouTube. Every single hype counts. Do it now, then keep watching, because what comes next is the smoking gun. Ted Lieu did not move. He stood at the podium, folders still open, documents spread out in front of him, and he spoke slowly, deliberately, every word measured. "Director Patel, you just invoked the 5th Amendment. That means you believe answering my question would incriminate you. That means you believe there is criminal exposure. So let me be very clear. You took $50,000 in cash. You shut down the Epstein investigation. And now you are pleading the 5th. The American people are watching. The victims are watching. And history is watching. You just told them everything they need to know." Patel did not respond. He sat there, frozen. His attorney whispered something. Patel shook his head. The attorney whispered again. Patel still did not move. His career was collapsing in real time, on camera, in front of millions. Subscribe to Patel Report Files and turn on notifications, because tomorrow we break down every second of this moment. Ted Lieu was not finished. He flipped to another page in his folder. This one had a timeline, printed in bold letters. He read it out loud. January 11th, Epstein witness Maria Santos contacts the FBI with new testimony. She names 47 individuals. 47. January 12th, you meet with the Deputy Attorney General. Closed door. No transcript. January 14th, 9:47 p.m. You receive $50,000 cash at your home. January 17th. You issue a directive. Case closure. Evidence archived. Witnesses dismissed. Investigation terminated. 4 days director. From new witness testimony to total shutdown. And in the middle of those 4 days, you took a cash payment. Explain that. Patel did not answer. He could not answer. The timeline was airtight. The documents were real. The photograph was undeniable. He was cornered, exposed, and the whole world was watching. 2 years ago, Patel tweeted, "Transparency is the foundation of justice. The American people deserve the truth." Today, under oath, he invoked the 5th Amendment. Which is it? Director, transparency or silence? Truth or self-preservation? The log files do not lie. February 3rd, 2.7 terabytes, deleted. Ted Lieu pulled out one final document. This one was a privilege log. That is a legal document that lists every piece of evidence withheld under attorney-client privilege or executive privilege. He flipped through the pages, stopped on page 47, and read, Privilege Log, Code D. That is the code for documents destroyed or deleted. February 3rd, 2.7 terabytes of data, deleted from FBI servers. The deletion was authorized by Director Kash Patel. The justification was, quote, ongoing national security concerns, unquote. Director, national security, or cover-up. Patel's ear muscle twitched. Involuntary, a stress response. His jaw clenched. His breathing was shallow. He was unraveling, and Ted Lieu saw it. Watch his hands, knuckles white, that ear muscle twitching, involuntary stress. If this matters to you, hit that thumbs up button right now, because what you just witnessed is not speculation. It is documented, it is on the record, and it is being ignored by mainstream media. Ted Lieu closed his folder. He looked directly at the camera, not at Patel, at the camera, and he said this, the Epstein files are not gone. They are hidden. $50,000 bought silence, but it did not buy compliance. There are agents, whistleblowers, people who know the truth, and they are coming forward. Director Patel can plead the fifth all he wants, but the documents do not need the Fifth Amendment. They speak for themselves. He turned back to Patel. Director, you have one more chance. Who gave you that money? Patel stared at the table, silent. His attorney finally stood up. We are invoking the Fifth Amendment on all financial matters related to this inquiry. The chairman banged the gavel. This hearing is adjourned. But the damage was done. Kash Patel walked out of that chamber a broken man. The footage went viral within hours. The $50,000 cash bag, the ring camera photo, the Fifth Amendment, all of it, everywhere. And the question everyone is asking is the same question Ted Lieu asked. Who paid him, and what did they pay him to do? And if you want to be part of the group that sees these documents first, before anyone else, join the 47 Club. Members get early access to breaking hearings, exclusive document analysis, and behind-the-scenes breakdowns of exactly how we track these stories. Click the Join button below. The 47 names are coming out. You can be among the first to know. This is not over. This is just beginning. Ted Lieu exposed the cash payment, but there are 46 more names on that witness list. 46 more people who were protected. 46 more stories that need to be told. And every single one of them is connected to that $50,000 bag. Subscribe, because tomorrow we reveal name number 2, and it is someone you know. Share this Patel Report Files video with everyone you know, because the truth does not spread itself. It spreads when people like you refuse to stay silent. Hype it, share it, make sure the world sees what Kash Patel tried to hide. The Epstein files are not buried, they are just waiting. And when they surface, the entire house of cards collapses. You just watched the first domino